Hey world, this is Chris Kirsten with the Savory Institute here. I'm joined today by the lovely and wonderful Emily Dean, who's part of our newer program about Savory Champions, which we're going to dive into in a minute. But for starters, Emily, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do for a living and how you got involved with all this.
Totally. So, my name is Emily Dean. I'm currently a resident of Denver, Colorado, and I lived in Albuquerque, New Mexico for about 5 years prior to moving to Colorado about a year ago. And currently am an artist, which I think people who make art are always artists, but I'm pursuing it as a profession as
Nice.
of the past 3 or 4 months. So exciting stuff, and it's been fun. But
Very
yeah, I
cool.
got in. Yeah, I got involved and introduced to Savory Institute through a serendipitous run-in with Alan in Albuquerque,
Okay. Yeah, Alan
and
Savory, our founder, lives
mhm,
part of his year in Albuquerque when he's not on
indeed,
his ranch in Zimbabwe. So you ran into him there.
yep, the one and only.
That's right.
Um, yeah, and realized that he was saving the world, like legitimately wanted to save the world, and didn't care if his name, like it was clear that he genuinely cared about the world. He didn't care about himself. It was like, world needs saving, and I'm going to do it because I know how to, um,
Awesome.
or at least components of how to. So yeah, after that, I looked into learned as much as I could, and I'm still constantly learning. But as soon as the Champions program came out, I was like, this is exactly what I was looking for and
Right.
hoping for, a way to connect and get more involved and be, yeah, I think connected is the big thing. Just
Yeah.
access to a huge network. It's crazy.
So
So yeah,
let's dive into that. So you're part of one of our newer programs at the Savory Institute. It's a Savory Champion. So how would you describe that to someone who maybe hasn't heard of that program, since it is one of our newer ones?
yeah. So I would say that it is a program that connects you with this huge network of like-minded people who are equally as passionate about regenerative agriculture and soil health, but who maybe aren't necessarily on the land every day and not directly involved with agriculture. So if you're, if, for me, I have a past uh, involvement with agriculture, but not current. So it was really, really exciting and interesting and cool to see, and hear what other people are doing who are not directly connected and why they care. Why do people who have marketing businesses or who have an IT career, why do they care about this? And then that network also encourages and supports and enables you to pursue whatever it is that you're passionate about and that you are excited about. Utilize that to then advocate for, champion holistic management and regenerative agriculture. The network is, I can't even tell you the echelon of the people in this network. It's really impressive, and genuine, authentic people who really care. So
That's cool. Yeah. So the
yeah.
way we view it, which is totally in line with where you're at, you were one of our earliest champions, and you've been on board since like late last summer, I think. So
Mhm.
the way we envisioned the program as we were developing it is really a way for people that are outside, like you said, the agriculture as a profession scene, as a way to become an insider in the regenerative agriculture movement.
Yeah.
So have a hands-on role in shaping the future of the movement to be able to get as engaged as they want to get, while at the same time getting all the materials they need to be able to promote it in their area. So the first thing that champions get is access to our online foundation of holistic management online course. So they get that for free. They're able to kind of start their deep dive and learn about it. Then they get access to exclusive opportunities, things that are coming up. But a big part of that is like that materials that I was talking about, that you can then go take these assets in your community, your circle of friends, and if you're the one at the dinner party that's always talking about where the meat came from, or maybe your wool sweater came from, now you actually have the assets that you need to be able to share that with friends and family, or maybe you're part of a community organization, you want to do a presentation, you get everything that you need with that. So that's super cool. And then some of the champions are starting to talk to us about bringing Alan Savory, our founder, or SI staff person to an event to come and talk to their group. And so you can do that at a discounted rate. And then the really cool thing that you mentioned was, that community and collaboration. So we've got an online collaboration forum so people can get involved in there and chat and be super active. So it's a totally cool behind the scenes thing. And, we just think it's awesome the way that you've spearheaded a couple different things in the program as one of our earliest members. So we thought it'd be really cool to talk to you today. When you and I were talking before the call, before we started recording, you told me something about the power of getting urbanites back on the land and kind of what that's meant in your life. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I grew up on a farm, and every time people would come over, I would scratch my head about, like, why are they so excited about a grass? It's hay, it's a cow. So underappreciated until I didn't have direct access to it anymore, and it's something that you can't replicate. You can't verbalize it. It's this energy, this feeling of being on land that's thriving. You can't beat it. And a lot of people in my community, just they don't, either they've never had exposure to that, or they don't have access to it, or they don't know how to get access to that sort of thing. Or they never even think to ask to have access. Like, well, why would I want to go to a farm? Right. But I think there might be something to that energy that land, especially healthy, thriving land, has. And there's such a disconnect in our society today between food, not just food, but even water and general resources. How do we get those things? There's a big disconnect of where things come from and how they're obtained, and what you as a citizen, as a consumer, what the true cost or value of that consumption is. Right. And sometimes it feels tough to make that connection in words. Sure. Or demonstrations, or like songs and dance. Like, what do we, it seems like sometimes
the artist in you comes
impossible.
Out. Yeah. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, maybe if I draw you this picture, like, do you need a color, or like how? And so I think it'd just be really, really interesting to give people an opportunity to reconnect and to learn and to experience things that they maybe would have never otherwise had the opportunity to experience, and just and see what happens, and see what sorts of things people come away with. It feels exciting. So I mean, enabled entirely by this network. It's crazy.
That's really the roots of the whole program. You describe it so well and distill it so well, but that's it. We've got a world where more population than ever before. We now have a vast majority of people that are living in cities, and we have people that are on the land that are kind of, holding this space and trying to continue to make it productive. And those two camps don't understand each other anymore, and they're becoming increasingly divided. And we want to wash that divisiveness away. We want to find a way to bring those two back together. And we find a strong yearning on both sides to be a part of that. And people just don't know how. So this is our step in creating that, of let's bring those two sides back together. So I think it's great the way that you spell that out. We couldn't be in more agreement on that. As we were talking before the call, you were also talking about opportunities for people, and maybe you touched on this already in the last question, but I wanted to give you the opportunity to add anything. But you talked about opportunities for people to grow in their understanding and learning, while at the same time creating regenerative outcomes. Tell me a little bit more on your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying. My brain sometimes takes a little bit of time to catch up. So yeah, all the things at once.
No
formulate
worries.
a coherent sense. I think that there are a lot of people who care a lot, but maybe don't quite. I mean, I think the biggest thing, the best way to put it is nobody can be all things to all people.
Totally.
And there are a lot of different perspectives and places that people are at. And I think that there's so many ways that we as a collective group can present opportunities in different spaces and at different levels of whatever it is, energy or education or
Yeah.
exposure to agriculture, that we can present it in so many ways that may resonate with people in a way that then incites the desire to learn more and to think about their choices as they relate to the health of our soils and our
Right.
water, and then can maybe start to make the steps towards recognizing the bigger interdependencies that exist. But there are so many ways and so many different inlets that I think it takes a village to be able to start to
Totally.
provide that a number of inlets that make sense for
Right.
a revolution to happen,
Right.
like Alan has been talking about.
Because everybody comes from a different background, and in holistic management speak, everyone has a different context, and so they have different resources, different goals, different things that they're doing with their lives, and that's okay. So many
Right.
movements you feel like you have to become kind of the cookie cutter follower, and we're not at all saying that. We
Yeah.
welcome everybody coming from a different space in life, and we want to
Yeah.
create more opportunities for everyone to feel like they can engage in that. So that's really what this program is about. It's about bringing together those two sides of diversity. So that ties in perfectly with kind of my next thought. I would love to hear in your words who you think the ideal champion would be. If someone's listening right now thinking, boy, I'm kind of interested in this, who would fit that bill really nicely?
Who the person who thought that and the person who's listening, I mean, it's I think that's the beauty of this program is there's no perfect or imperfect. There just is, like, you just are a champion. And so even if you have a seed of inspiration or curiosity, there are there's so many ways that can grow within this network.
Right.
And I will say it's something that I actually appreciated, but I'm sure some people find a little bit tougher to navigate. It's not a program that you join and you get given, like you were saying, you don't have to fit into a box and you're not given a step-by-step list of things to check off that you've done, but you have the resources, like you're saying, just abundance of resources and a network of people for you to be able to learn and grow and contribute in a way that makes sense for you. And so, yeah, anybody who just even is curious or wants to start to have conversations or impact their community, I would say if maybe you're not a little gun shy, just reach out to somebody, really a genuine and authentically communication oriented group who just really wants people to feel a part of something, because they really are. You really do become a part of something very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of think of it as folks that,
So everyone
yeah.
is a good tip.
Yeah, totally. I think of it as
Sorry, go
folks
ahead.
that,
Go
like,
ahead.
if you're interested in your health, maybe someone in your family has got an ailment. If you're
Yeah.
interested in the environment, if you're interested in, overcoming pollution, carbon,
Yep.
climate change, water scarcity, if you're interested in local economies rebuilding
Yep.
themselves, if you're interested in a cultural revolution of people, that kind of essence of what we all envisioned small town America in the 50s and 60s, of building community again, of people helping each other, of being part of something bigger than them, it's just supporting their own neighborhoods and their own places. All of those ideals fit into what this is about. So yeah, you mentioned a good thing about reaching out, and so I'll kind of inject that here now. If people want to learn more about this, they can go to our website, savory.global. So now people are changing the .coms and the .nets, so we're a .global. If for some reason they can't make that work, they can go to savoryinstitute.org and then click on the network tab, and on the network tab it talks all about the Champion program. And step one, somebody can click on that. They can fill out the form, say, "Hey, I'd just like to learn more." And I think there's also some assets on there that actually explain the program a little bit deeper. There's like a flyer about it. But Abby will actually connect with you. Abby, who was on our last episode, our network coordinator, will actually connect with you and talk to you more about the program and what it looks like to join this community and be a part of it. So I'd love to hear your thoughts, as this is just not even a year-old program. What do you think the future of a community like this looks like?
Oh man, it's exciting to think about. I mean, I just in my very a short amount of time being involved with this program, and what I feel like is really a pretty minimal amount of time invested into actively seeking things out. If you even if you even cast a short line, you're going to get so many bites back that it's really exciting. It feels very exponential. If you are willing to put in just a little bit, you're going to be given so many resources and so much energy and support and encouragement that,
Yeah.
I mean, if we can tap into so much, I mean, in my short time, I've connected with people on every side of every area of the globe over these calls, and people who are doing just amazing things with the resources that they have now, let alone the resources that they're being connected with through the Champions program. And so it's very exciting. And I think the future of it is just going to be a continuation of that, where, well, maybe the size and the numbers grow, but the interconnectedness and the feeling of being a part of something increases exponentially in relation to the numbers, not where it feels sometimes like you're a part of something, and then as soon as it grows, you become like, well, you're still there and we appreciate that, but you're maybe not like really a part of the tight-knit community.
It's funny because when you say that, it reminds me of the way that we hear from farmers so often, that when we reach out with farmers and ranchers around the world, one of the first things they say is, "Thank you for connecting with me, because I feel like for so long I've been part of an island, and I was here all by myself, and I didn't realize how big this was globally." And for a lot of them, it was, they saw the TED Talk with Alan Savory for the first time, or, they saw one of our other media pieces shared on Facebook or something like that. And they go, "Oh my God, there's a whole other community here that I can be a part of." And we know that urbanites that don't have a connection to land feel the same way. People that are trying to shop consciously, that are trying to, shop with their heart, to have their buying decisions represent their ideals, and their culture represent their ideals, that there's a big void there. So that's what we're trying to fill that with this program. It would be really cool. You mentioned the calls, and I didn't mention that earlier, but we do these quarterly calls. So every couple of months we get on a call, and all the champions are on there together. Could you share with us a specific connection you made with somebody and how that touched your life personally?
Oh man, where to begin? Yeah, I mean, so there's a gentleman and his team in Uruguay, and I didn't have a directly personal conversation with him. It was more just hearing him speak on one of these calls, but just hearing about somebody in a country that is committed to real change, and that follows through with policy and with market incentive, with all sorts of things that create real legitimate change from a country that's doing that, and to hear his optimism and enthusiasm and passion, and his just he knows that it's going to happen in Uruguay, that their government and their agriculture is all going to be holistic. Like, he just is so positive and confident in that. It is the most inspiring thing. And I mean, that's just one example of many stories where you hear people who do feel like they're on an island maybe, but they're still getting out there, and they're still doing the work, and still advocating. And to think of those sorts of people in the context of this big network, it's just really exciting. And I mean, anybody who I've on those calls heard something that they say that, oh, that's interesting, I should reach out to them. When I do, Tom is a great example. I mean, it's this treasure trove that I never guessed would come of it. And as far as the the wisdom he's imparted on me, and the literally, like, he literally has given me books and CDs and things that I'm just like make fulfill my life so much and are so meaningful to me.
So
That
Tom is another champion there in the Denver area.
Yep, he's in Longmont, which is about an hour away from Denver, but was driving his wife to the airport, and his wife's like an international violinist who is like, yeah, just the most interesting people,
Yeah.
you know? And so, yeah, he met me just yesterday. We sat and had coffee and talked for 2.5 hours, and have had calls of the same length. It's just, I mean, man, this is an example of when you may regret saying, "Oh, answer as long as you'd like."
No, not at all.
I could keep going.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a couple examples
Yeah.
of many.
And so we're recording this in March 2017. So if someone's listening later, these numbers might have changed, but we currently have 30 hubs around the globe that are either accredited or in process of being accredited. And that number grows every year. So we typically grow by 10 to 15 new hubs every year. But like you're talking about, that alone, just being plugged into that network of hubs, kind of not even talking about the other champions that you're plugged in with, though, that creates all sorts of opportunities. Of anytime you're traveling, you connect with those people if you want to understand a different culture. We also have a program called Savory Journeys, where we actually do a facilitated travel group, and champions are getting very excited about joining this. But, we go all over the world to places that are practicing holistic management, and you could go on a safari-type trip with other champions and go and see these places firsthand in kind of a vacation, educational hybrid. So that's really cool. So it was great that you brought up an international example as well as a local one, because I think there are tons of opportunities on both sides. So I know we're running a little short on time here. I know we got to get going. But, if just in kind of closing, if you were going to say to somebody considering the champion program, what would you say to them as if they were considering joining?
Yeah. I would say that whatever the benefit or the whatever it is that's motivating you, or that you think you may gain from joining this program, it, in my experience, is way beyond what I could have imagined, personally and socially, and just as far as like maintaining hope in what can sometimes feel like a bit of a less than hopeful environment.
Very well put. Yeah. Hope isn't a shortage sometimes.
Yeah. And just this, the focus on negative things, and just talking about what we don't want and what we don't want to see. It's a shift to what do we want, and recognizing that within yourself, and just a lot of burdens that I personally had on my shoulders that I very quickly learned to shed, and a freedom to be hopeful and to act upon that hope. I think that, to summarize, the benefits of plugging into this network are likely going to be much greater than what you might perceive if you have even just that little seed of passion or inspiration or desire. I mean, it can really turn into a huge thing in your life, and you can be truly a part of something. I say that as somebody who's been considered a part of many things, and knows the feeling of like, okay, you say I'm a part of this, but it doesn't really feel that way. You really truly do become a part of something. So definitely plug in if you're thinking about it.
I love the way that you put that, of shifting away from the focus of all the negative and moving towards the positive of the world that we do want, not focusing on what's wrong with our world now. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time, Emily. It's been a pleasure. Love having you part of the champion program and being an early leader in that and spearheading so many amazing things. I appreciate you taking the time today, and thank you so much for chatting with us.
Oh man, the pleasure is all mine, and thanks for all the work that you do, Chris.
Thank
Amazing
you.
stuff. Really,
Thank
really
you.
talented and appreciated.
All right. Well, goodbye, everybody, and thanks for joining us today. Take care.
Thanks.